So that's a hard thing to do, right? Loving your enemies as you love yourself. What? Dog, I want them dead. But do you? You don't. I used to say that. I was, very upset. I just want somebody get them. But you know what that is? It's hurt. You've been hurt. So it's coming out in anger. Don't act on it. Just tell God, I'm hurt. He knows. But thank him. Thank him it happened. I know it sounds weird, but I've done it in one of the worst days of my life. That was just soul crushing. Here I am sobbing. And all I could say was thank you. Because I knew you did this for me. And I don't understand why, because it's terrible, but you did this. Another reason why we don't take vengeance on our enemies is because God's going to get his in the end. And it's not always going to just be on your behalf. Yeah, he's going to he just said, I'll be an enemy to your enemy. Cool. That means you're going to fight my battles. This is how I fight my battle. Yeah, he's going to, just like at the end of Game of Thrones when Sansa comes riding in, right when Jon Snow thinks he's about to die, that's God. He's like, I'm coming for you with the cavalry, right? That's God. But another thing is, it's not just for you. It's because he is a God of justice, first and foremost. He is a God of right and wrong, first and foremost. You're a secondary thought. First and foremost, he wrote the rules and they broke them. So when we don't get the vengeance that we want immediately, we got to do something. Punish them, out them. They've lied about me. I want these people to not... Don't worry about what those people think. They're going to believe what they're going to believe until they don't believe it anymore. And I got to tell you, I got some good news yesterday. Like, I was in a situation from 2017 till 2020, 2016 till 2020. A situation. It wasn't a relationship. It was an organization relationship. And it was a church. Okay. And it was like no other church I had ever experienced. And I grew up in church. My dad was a pastor my whole life, right? I went to a Christian school all 12 years. So when I say I had never experienced this, I mean, I've never experienced this. And I've visited many other denominational churches. There's some weird stuff that was going on. There was some wrong stuff that was going on. And I knew it. And I was like, this ain't right. And then a couple things happened. And then one day, I was just sitting there and God said, get up and leave now. And I was like, in the middle of the service? And he's like, yep. And I'm like, on the front row, like a pastor sitting right beside me. Don't matter. Go. Okay. Put the backpack on, walk straight out in the middle of the service, the worship special. So everybody's watching you. Nobody's distracted. And I was a leader in the church. I was in charge of all of Guest Central. I had 300 volunteers. And here I am walking out in the middle. And I never went, I didn't look back and I never went back. Because he said, do not, I'm not making this up. He's like, put on your backpack, get out of here, do not look back, just keep walking. And so I did. I heard it so clearly. And it all clicked at once. This was evil. Something bad's happening. Okay? And so for the last 7 years, I'm like, angry, sad. Not angry at God, for sure not. No. I mean, he's one of the guys, right, made my mind right. Angry at the way I've been treated. Couldn't believe the people that I thought, oh my God, these are my best friends. these are your church people, dog, you know, and they're going to be here for you no matter what. Never heard from him again. Family, you know, talk about hurt, dog, that hurts. But me and my friend were talking, and she experienced the same thing almost a little bit more intense. I said, you know, though, we both said, thank God we had such a good foundation of Christ and who he was beforehand, because we never left him. We never got mad at him. We just knew we had to get out of there, if that makes sense. But still, I'm like, over the years, I'm thinking these people that were so loyal to someone real bad who's in charge. And I saw it with my own eyes. Like, there was some real sketchy stuff going on there that was not church-like. It was not of God. And I will say this 100 times. There is no perfect church. It's ran by humans. Your pastor is a human. He's going to get things wrong. But when it is straight up evil and against the Bible, that's a different story. Okay? Anything that's against the Bible is you're in a cult. Okay? I'm sorry. There ain't no other way to say it. You're in a Ponzi schemes cult, okay? That is not of God. Now, if the pastor makes a mistake or something like that he's human. But if it's habitual and you're getting the heebie-jeebies, like you're just like, what? And then when you find out that they are legit overlooking literal sin on their church staff, get out. God's probably already told you that though, right? So it was like, I found out probably about 2 months prior, that the pastor, who up to that moment, honestly, I idolized the man. Not in a idolizing way, but I just thought, what a great Christian. Because I never heard him say anything unbiblical from the pulpit, right? I did think some of the things he did, and as a pastor, weren't cool. Growing up a pastor's daughter, I'd never heard of that kind of stuff. But okay, weird. I don't know. It didn't seem that big of a deal. But there was something that came about, and it wasn't right. Biblically, it wasn't right. I don't care what anybody says emotionally or whatever. You are not divorced until you are divorced. Period. Okay? Like, just because you've separated from your husband and it's taken years to get divorced, you're not divorced. That means you cannot date somebody. If you're with somebody else, that's adultery, okay? When a staff member is dating a married woman, going through a divorce, but the divorce lasted years, and the pastor's like, just be careful. I'm telling you, my brain split. I couldn't believe he said. I remember looking at my friend and the cringe. I knew what I looked like. I didn't see a mirror. I was so confused, and I was just like, what? The Bible. I mean, I couldn't believe the pastor had said that, and then I'm like, crushed. I mean, I had put my faith in this person, and that's why it tells you not put faith in man. Right? Man, as in humans. So that was sketchy. And then there was a time that the mask fell. And I saw the real person, and it was scary. It was a brief second, but the look, it's like the eyes went dark, and I was like, oh my, this sounds, and then right away, put right back up. So I already knew all these things, correct?